to episode 16 of That Dynasty podcast. I'm your host, Matthew, and alongside Isiah, want to welcome you back to That Dynasty podcast. It is officially week 2 of the playoffs. And Isiah, how are your teams doing as far as the playoffs are concerned?
Not too hot. Yeah, not great. Actually, I'm done. Just like the Patriots' playoff chances are, because of Jacoby Myers thinking that he was QB1, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that play was I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. That was bizarre.
Yeah, it's probably the worst play I've ever seen. Between the butt fumble and then the Colts punt like 5 or 6 years ago, I've seen some pretty awful plays. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't waste $300 to go to the game to watch that atrocity because I probably would have threw myself in traffic. So I guess it worked out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you knew anybody that was at the game. I saw a video somebody posted online. They were a Patriots fan, and they were filming themselves the last play of the game and just showing them being super excited, and then just like the same reaction that we all had, like, what in the world just happened? It's bizarre.
Yeah, I still don't even believe it happened. I was snowboarding on Sunday, and I came back, and I saw everyone's like, tweets and stuff, and then I saw everyone just swearing, just all swears for like 2 minutes while I was scrolling. I was like, dude, what happened? I saw the play. I was like, oh my God, dude.
Dude, this past week was actually pretty crazy. Before we get into anything else, as far as our Dynasty League is concerned, we had some really, really incredible games that actually took place. We had the greatest comeback in NFL history, took place on Saturday. First game.
Our Vikings, bro.
That's right. Skull Nation. Let's go. Yeah, we've been, we bleed purple. Always have, always will.
Yes.
And, I don't know why anyone would ever think otherwise, but skull. Yeah, that was just incredible. I mean, Cousins wears all the chains for a reason. And, they looked at him and they said, it's not 1 o'clock anymore. Cousins, it's time to wake up. And then he got his act together. But
yeah, Kirk Cousins in the second half on a Saturday is a whole different beast, huh?
I guess so. I also thought it was interesting that Matt Ryan was the quarterback on the receiving end of that, because he's now blown the largest lead in NFL history, as well as the largest blown lead in the Super Bowl as well, or in playoffs in general. So really,
yeah, he's definitely a record chaser, that's for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't settle. He's like, what else can I do before I retire this year?
Yeah, I respect it. Especially as a Vikings fan. I'm very appreciative of it. So.
Yeah, I did see there was a picture that someone had shared as well of a Vikings defender trying to tackle Matt Ryan, or was tackling him this past week, and he had his hand fully clenched around one of his butt cheeks to the point where like his fingers were like almost inside, like the full cheek was in his hand. And it was a pretty fantastic picture that someone managed to snag of one of the sacks in the game. So
is that before they blew the lead or after? Because that could definitely be reciprocal of what happened.
Yeah, honestly, not sure. I'm not sure the timing of it. So we might want to look into that. Somebody look into that and do the research for us. So we had that game that happened. Then we had, of course, the Jags beating the Cowboys with a walk-off interception, and then the Patriots losing with also a walk-off interception. Pretty crazy that both happened on the same weekend.
But yeah, anyways, good week of football. You want to talk about this week's matchups?
Yeah, so most of us were incorrect in our first round pick of some of the matchups that happened. Our brackets are already in shambles. At the end of the day, if you still pick the correct winner, I guess you get something. But for most of us, Andy really threw a wrench in our plans. But that being said, we did have 2 more brackets that came in submitted after we filmed. I want to make sure that I went over those before we talked about, the total results, and also before we talked about this upcoming week's matchups. So Trevor sent in a matchup for himself. I'm sorry, a a bracket here, and so for the playoffs, he predicted that Seed and Power is going to take victory over Terrell in round 1. He picked Andy over King Cobb in a first round upset. In the second round, he has Buster Jacoby over Seed and Power and Darius over Andy. And in the championship round, he has Darius winning it all in a narrow victory. And then Angie picked Seed and Power to win the first round and King Cobb. In round 2, she has Buster Jacoby and Darius winning. And then in round 3 championship, she has Darius taking home the title. So all in all, pretty split now from a bracket side of things, because we have Trevor and Angie rooting for Darius here. Let's see who else picked Darius. Yeah, so it looked like, that's now three picks for Darius at least going into next round. So let's talk about the matchups. It was pretty close in one of the matchups, and the other matchup, not so much. So we'll talk about the blowout first. So Seed and Power versus Terrell, Reverend Big Cheese. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, dude. Seed and Power destroyed him. I think as almost all of us projected. Seed and Power had 166.5, and then Topo Domo had about 102. Looking at Seed's roster right now, and I think Jonathan Taylor was the first game of the week, that Colts Minneapolis game. So imagine, I think I saw him in the chat.
Thursday night game, but there's definitely a Thursday night game before that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a Saturday game. But I remember him in the chat being like, "Oh crap, here we go. Jonathan Taylor already out. Gave me 2 points." But luckily for him, the rest of his roster was fantastic. Brock Purdy continued to do his thing. Dalvin Cook gave him 26 points on an awesome game there. CeeDee Lamb, another consistent day, $125, 7 receptions. AJ Brown, another big day, 181 yards. George Kittle was fantastic, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle back over 20 points again. Mike Evans got 80 yards, and that defense gave him 14 points. And then looking at Topo Domo, his running backs let him down. That's where he really went astray with Miles Sanders and was that Jamal Williams?
Yeah, Jamal Williams 33 yards, 13 carries. And then, Tyler Lockett, Jefferson, Waller, Smith had pretty good games, but he came down to needing 60 plus points from Randall Cobb in the final game of the week. So that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Anytime you start Randall Cobb in your flex, it's not ideal. I do find it interesting he started Cobb over DJ Moore, even Noah Brown. That's kind of interesting, but wouldn't matter anyways.
All that trade for Noah Brown just to sit him on the bench in the playoffs.
I know.
No, man. It would have been a close matchup. He had KJ Osborne, 31 points on the bench. Noah Brown, 22 points on the bench. DJ Moore, 18 points on the bench. Colts defense, 18 points on the bench. And you throw those guys in there, this game is actually a much closer game, if not falling in the favor of Reverend Big Cheese. But I just looking at those guys are all wide receivers. I don't think there's any running backs I would have started differently. So, I mean, is what it is.
Dude, I'm looking at his roster right now. He, respectfully, definitely needs to draft some running backs next year. Who's his best running back? Miles Sanders is going to be a free agent.
Well, he's got Sanders. He's also got Damian Harris, who's going to be a free agent. And then
I guess.
Let me see he has nobody in taxi squad, nobody on injured reserve. Did I trade him any picks? Let's see. Because I traded him Miles Sanders for Henry, which I still think was a good move for him because I feel like Miles Sanders is in a better spot than Sanders, but he doesn't have a first round pick. So he's got a second and a third round pick. So he's going to be scrounging for running backs, I bet. Or he's going to have to make a trade. And he could make a trade. Justin Jefferson could pull back enough there to gain some capital. I just think he needs to rebuild. His best quarterback is Aaron Rodgers, and then he's got Ryan Tannehill. So not great there. He's, I don't know, just doesn't really have a lot to go with. And it's not even it's just not a super balanced team. Um, which is why I offered him the trade that I did to give up DJ Moore to pick up Henry and Brady, because at the time he had Brady too, which is even worse.
Mm-hmm.
He just wasn't in a good position to set up long term or even to win this year, I guess.
But he does have the golden spoon as Justin Jefferson, so I'll give him that. Probably the most valuable trade piece in the league.
I definitely agree with you there. But if you can only have one player that's going to put up 30 points a week, as we learned this year, like you lose anytime he doesn't show up because you don't have anybody else in the team. So
Your story. All right,
um,
and then
so I think everybody had that pretty much correct in their bracket, with the exception of I think Terrell voted for himself. So everyone's bracket on that side is pretty much still secure.
sweet. Next matchup we had Andy O'Connell does the gritty going up against Jones and in 4 first round bye, Mr. King Cobb. And dude, a wicked close game. King Cobb barely pulled by with the win with 139 to Andy's 127.
Yeah.
Look at that matchup right now.
I really didn't think that King Cobb is going to pull this one out, but he started freaking Zay Jones, which,
dude,
while we're here, like I'll just talk about it like from an MVP perspective. Like our MVP segment this week isn't really going to be a thing because there's nobody on Andy's side that at the end of the day would have actually been able to have won him this week. And King Cobb's team just outperformed in general. So we have an MVP for the week, and that's, Zay Jones. He went 6 for 8, 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. Incredible. He was the driving factor in a lot of people moving on in the playoffs this week. I can guarantee you that. But
yeah, the league I was in the playoffs in, I forgot to tell you that's what it went up against.
well, there you go. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
But all in all, you couldn't have predicted that much of a breakout game from him. Had he not gone off, this game would have gone probably in Andy's favor, because Zay Jones pretty typically puts up 12 to 15. If he only puts up 12 to 15, this game does go to Andy. So, all in all, I don't think people's predictions were too far off. He's got a really solid team. Andy did. He put up a heck of a run. He's got McCaffrey and Walker going into next year. He's got Olave, Smith, and Hawkinson, and Garrett Wilson, who he picked up for trading away some bum named Cam Akers.
All right, that's enough. That's enough.
Don't forget the star quarterback Colt McCoy as well. We've got George Pickens, Sky Moore, Adam Thielen's gonna probably roll over in his grave here soon. Greg D on the bench, Kyler Murray. So I think he's got a good outlook on next couple of years. Hopefully he's still got some picks left. But King Cobb pulled out the victory.
Yeah, look at his lineup. It's for his team. Pretty much set for the most part next couple of years. A lot of those receivers are really good, really young. And then obviously, so I saw a report yesterday. Kyler should be back by starting next season, so that'll be good for him. But McCaffrey and Walker moving forward, that's a great tandem to have. And then for Jones and in 4, pretty wild. Who would have thought that at the beginning of this year that he'd be starting Justin Fields in a playoff game as his QB1, and it being the right call. Yeah, Zay Jones. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, he had Hopkins. Hopkins did okay. Barkley had a really good game. Actually, I put up a bunch of parlays going under on Barkley because I just didn't think he was going to have a good game against Washington. I was wrong on that part, but Nick Chubb actually disappointed, even though he almost rushed for 100 yards. Njoku has actually been getting a lot of targets still consistently, so encouraging to see that from Cleveland. James Conner has been in every down back, getting all the work, pretty much startable in every single matchup. I was worried about Conner going up against Denver. They've been really good against the run. Next week, he goes up against another good run defense in Tampa Bay, but he put up 23 against New England, 20 against the Chargers, and then 18 against Denver. Those are all really, really good run defenses. So I'm pretty much starting him everywhere going forward. Fournette, we talked a little bit about Fournette versus, I think you have him on your team, Do you have what's his face, the other running back there?
Rashard White.
Yeah, do you have White on your team? No, Steven
I
Power.
have him on like at the rookie league we're in.
Oh yeah, okay. So Fournette actually picked up 58% of the snaps this past week. He had 10 touches and 4 targets, whereas Rashad White actually outcarried him. He had 11 touches, but he only had 2 targets and only played 39% of the snaps. So Fournette's still
Yeah.
RB1 over there in that offense, still getting more opportunities. So looks like you're still going to start Fournette going forward. I mean, they potentially could start both of them. But if I have to lean one, the next 2 weeks are really juicy matchups for them as well. Arizona and Carolina. So they're going to be a really good tandem for going into the playoffs. If you had to pick one, who would you start?
On a week to week basis, I would still lean Fournette, just slightly, just slightly. I like that goal line presence he has. I know he hasn't had a crap ton of touchdowns this year, but it's still Fournette.
Yep. So that was the matchup there. King Cobb moving on to the next round. Andy knocking the majority of us out of our playoff brackets. So that means that this week is myself, Buster Jacoby, aka $96 Fab Bids, up against Seed and Power, and Darius taking on King Cobb, which is the top 4 seeded teams in the league, if I remember correctly. Nope, actually, Terrell ended up sliding into the number 4 spot, but for the majority of the season, it was the top 4 power ranked teams, and matching up here. I guess it's not really a surprise, so to speak, even though we all expected Andy to win. So let's talk about some of these matchups. Want to start with my matchup, Buster Jacoby versus King.
You seen Power now?
Should be, but when I clicked on it, it brought up King Cobb.
Yeah, it's the you and Seed and Power. Let me see what we got here. Oh, it is saying you. I think it's just because
I don't think it's update. I don't think it's officially updated here in the app yet. So we're gonna have to do this little manual.
Because when I click Darius's matchup, it says King Cobb too. So according to Sleeper, King Cobb is playing both of you guys this week. So best of luck to him. I don't know if like he gets to combine his points or how that works, but
It's impressive.
all right, take a look at Seed. All right, let's look at his roster for next week. Seed and Power. Wow, that'd be nice if Sleeper could fix this. All right. Well, there's no sorts of projections I can look at right now for Seed and Power roster.
Yeah, that's pretty inconvenient.
Yeah, it's unfortunate timing.
Okay, so let's just talk about what we think here. What we think he could potentially put up, because I'm not going to lie to you, man. I was feeling pretty good based on his 2-game losing streak going into this game. Some underperformance. He loses Taylor. I'm like, this is perfect. Even if he wins this round, losing Taylor is going to be a big hit. Man's down to Brock Purdy starting a quarterback. You know what I mean? But then he went and dropped, like, everyone on his team dropped 30 points. So now I'm pretty scared.
Yeah, and like he had some great performances, but like those were performances from great players that you can see replicated again, right? It's not like Zay Drones dropped 40 on his on his squad, and then 2 other no namers like it's Dalvin Cook, it's CeeDee Lamb, it's AJ Brown, it's George Kittle, it's Waddle, it's Evan. They're all performers, and I'm looking at his roster right now, and obviously Jonathan Taylor's put on IR, so I imagine he'll roll with Rasheed Mostert, with Jeff Wilson probably still out, maybe not. Either way, probably go with one of those running backs. And I mean, look at what Rasheed did last week. He had 135 yards and 17 carries, and put up 16 and a half fantasy points. So I mean, dude, if you take that 16 and a half, replace Jonathan Taylor's 2 from last week, he would have put up over 180. So his team has more than enough potential to do that again. And then there's always the question if Lamar comes back this week. I know most likely he won't, but I think there's still that chance there. But
yeah, who are they playing? Let's see here. Lamar would be playing Atlanta too, so it'd be fairly decent matchup. I don't know. Lamar's not looked super great anyways, even when he is playing. So I'd almost rather he come back and suck. You know what I mean? So that that would honestly be better. The Eagles, defense wise, like he's just got a great defense set up. Let's see who they're playing.
Purdy's playing the
Dallas.
Washington football team.
The Eagles are playing Dallas.
Yep.
So I actually think if I clicked on him, it looks like we can see who he's starting. Looks like he's going to be starting Rashad White because it's showing his numbers, their numbers from last week, but it seems to be updated with the correct starters. So he's going to be rolling out Rashad White, Brock Purdy, Dalvin Cook, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, George Kittle, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, and the 49ers defense. So yeah, I mean, all I need is pretty much all of them to have, decent weeks, and I'm going to lose by default. Plus side is that I have a slight up on Brock Purdy when it comes to quarterback this week. So he's got me in when it comes to the tight end position. I've got him when it comes to running back. What do you think about my chances now, kind of seeing his lineup here?
Yeah, I mean, you should. I mean, I think your floor is a lot higher than his. But are you planning on starting Deshaun?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm probably going to be a game time decision on that because Watson has been getting better every game that he's played, like accuracy wise. I know he had 28 attempts and 18 completions this past week against Baltimore. He didn't really need to throw a lot. He also rushed 6 times, 22 yards on the ground. He's rushed for over 20 yards in every game that he's played, so he has a nice little safe floor there. He did throw for a touchdown. He only threw for 161 yards, but they didn't really need it in this game. It was a very low scoring game, and didn't really play a lot of snaps either. I think if he had 42 attempts again, you would have seen, an extra 100 yards and another touchdown in there. So I don't know. I like the rushing upside. I'm so scared to start Brady, where Brady's last couple games, he hasn't touched 18 points. Like 18 points
Yeah.
was his highlight. He's throwing the ball 40 to 50 times a game, and he just came off of a 3 touchdown game, and he only still had 14 points. He's thrown 2 interceptions in both of his last 2 games, and this is definitely a much better matchup for him. But I just I'm not 100% positive on that one
Any
yet.
thoughts of going to Carr at all or no?
Nope, not going to be starting Carr at all. Carr doesn't have the rushing upside, and he doesn't pass enough. He's not even throwing 40 times a game. So if like last week he threw for 3 touchdowns and an interception, 18 points, but 20 points is his ceiling. I don't know. That's a tough thing about quarterback.
Yeah, no, it's definitely hit or miss each week. But no, I like what you have at running back a lot, specifically for their matchups. That Houston defense is pretty crap going up against King Henry, and then Aaron Jones should be able to eat all day on that awful Miami defense, and then Devontae Adams should be able to do his thing. Tyreek Hill is pretty much proven that he's going to get his points no matter who he plays. Eckler's a PPR monster going up against Indy. And then Chris Godwin's been playing pretty well late and not necessarily maybe like an average defense at this point in Arizona. So I still think you win it, but I actually think it's going to be a lot closer than originally when I picked you over Seed and Power. I could see him winning, but I still think you got it by maybe like 10 or so points.
I'd be interested to see when the numbers add up, what the projections look like, because I think it's going to project to being pretty close. But Dalvin Cook just rushed up against Indy and put up 20 something points against them. Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones both have pretty cake matchups, but I don't know if Aaron Jones is going to be used the way I want him to be. But yeah, I'm actually sitting. I was like, who's the odd star out this week? It's going to be Amari Cooper. Cooper just hasn't shown big game chemistry yet. And like with Watson, he's been targeted a bunch, but with Watson, still a little bit uncertainty there. I can trust that Watson will make something happen. I just don't know if I can trust it to happen with Cooper yet. So I'm going to stick with Adams Hill.
Yeah, I like that decision too because, like, let's say the oddball chance that Cleveland offense like totally craps the bed. I mean, you'd be screwed, bro, because you'd be getting like nothing from Cooper and then nothing from Watson, rather than like if Watson has a crap game, it's fine because I got Godwin in there, so I have something else that can kind of save me if Cleveland does nothing. But I still think you win. I bet it. I bet he ends up projecting about 140, 140ish maybe 135 to 140, and ends up being a pretty close matchup. So
What do you like for the defense matchups though? Because I got the Bengals. I could start against New England. I've got the Miami against Green Bay. I've got Kansas City against Seattle.
I
Or
think I might do. I might rock with that Bengals defense, dude. Just because of how crap the Pats have been lately. But dude, the Jags have been rolling as late. I was looking at Lawrence's numbers last month. Let me see if I can pull them up here.
mm-hmm.
He's been awesome.
This is true. I'm just concerned that like the Jets shut down Buffalo 2 weeks in a 2 times they faced them in a row. They shut down New England 2 times in a row.
Dude, did you know Trevor Lawrence is the number 6 QB on the year right now?
I actually did know that. I didn't know he
Yeah,
was
that's
number
pretty
six,
wild.
but I did know he was top 10 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just his last was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. His last 9 performances, he's had one performance where he had a crap day. He had 5 points, but otherwise he's had 24, 18. He had that five. He had 15, 20, 22, 16, 33, 25. So he's finally started to get that offense rolling. I think they're actually might even make the playoffs at this point, but
He
I don't
actually
know, dude.
shows he's actually uh QB 7, but he's 0.2 points behind Geno Smith for QB 6.
That's on your sleeper app.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you doing season average? Are you doing like points per game, or are you doing?
I just went into like the sleeper app, looked up his name, and it said player rank 6 QB, 14th overall.
Oh, I went into in the sleeper app. If you go to the right, there's like a tab that says leaders, and then you can do like sorting by different categories in there. So
It must not be on. I bet it's not on phone.
it might just be our league settings specifically as well. Um, but yeah, so
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
yeah, so it's actually really interesting to see kind of how the top 10 is shaking out. And in some of our future episodes, we'll have time to really break down like the season and who are some like really shocking performances and like, what did we expect versus not expecting to happen. So I'm excited to be able to talk about that. Um, but yeah, the Jets, that would be the two I'm torn between is the Jets or the Bengals this week. So we'll see. I'll be probably swapping back and forth, but I got to make a decision here by Thursday because the Jets play Thursday night. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm excited for the matchup. But that's enough about this matchup. Let's talk about Darius because I think everyone has me winning this match. I don't think anyone had Seed and Power beating me
Yeah,
in
correct.
this week. Let's
Um,
go with the next
so
one.
yeah, so now that sleeper is working for their matchup, Darius projected to get about 148, and then King Cobb's projected to get 125. Look at their rosters right now. King Cobb is still starting Zay Jones. I'm trying to think who could even start him over. Maybe Cortland Sutton comes back, but my point being with his roster is he's got Justin Fields, Saquon, Chubb, Hopkins, Zay Jones, Njoku, Connor, Fournette, and Lyons. Now he's only projected to get 125, but I feel like almost every single one of those players there's a boom potential there um, with the way they've been playing of late, and then even looking at some of their matchups. Um, so yeah, King Darius is projected to win by over 20, but I still think King Cobb out projects 125, and he makes it a pretty close game. But looking at Darius, dude, he's got a lot of talent there. With Diggs, that Diggs Allen stack's disgusting, and he's got the two best tight ends in the game. Although Mark Andrews has been kind of Has been doing a whole lot of late, but
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see.
here's been his finishes the last few weeks. Tight end 24, tight end 23, tight end 10, tight end 12, tight end 7, tight end 24, tight end 51. He hasn't finished as a top 5 tight end since week 6.
That's crazy.
So yeah, since week 6, he's been garbage.
Yeah, he's definitely no Evan Ingram, that's for sure.
It's no Evan Ingram. But here's the what I will say. He's going to win this week, I think. But this is what my bold prediction is that Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews are going to combine for 75 points. And
Good God.
I'm not going to say how they're going to do that, but let me just tell you this: Seattle is the worst off against opposing tight ends this season. Andrews is facing Atlanta, who's not far behind them. I think it's just a matchup that's prime for the taking. And if, in fact, we do get Lamar back, then I can see this being an opportunity here. So I think Kelce could put up, 45 points. Could be another 3-touchdown game for him against Seattle. There's going to be a lot of back and forth in that game, especially since Kansas City's defense hasn't been great. And I can see as well, Andrews having another 20 to 30 points. And there you go, 75 points between those two. And it's going to carry Darius to the next round. King Cobb's lineup is fluky. It's like he could have a huge week or they could all suck, and they're very fluky. I love it. I love the upside. There's a lot of that built in, and I know for sure he's not happy with how fluky his lineup is being. Ever since he lost, Ertz and lost Cup and had to make some moves here mid-season, but. It's my
Yeah, between Ertz, Cup, and then the Broncos offense being dog crap. He's had a lot go wrong for him this year, but all it takes is another big week, bro. That's all it takes.
You say a lot
Yeah,
goes
we'll see.
wrong as he's in the semifinals.
Yeah, 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 and he was 10-4. Like the fact that he was 10-4 with all that happened is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be a really interesting week to find out what happens here. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, this just in from Schefter as we're recording. Nick Chubb, what does it say here? No practice today due to a foot injury. All right, King Cobb. This is not looking good so far.
Not ideal. It is Tuesday morning, so there's time. But
True. It's true.
we'll see.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. So next week, we'll be talking about the championship matchup, doing some predictions about that. I'm actually interested to see. Maybe we'll talk about the toilet bowl, see if anyone's actually trying.
Hey, dog, I dropped like a $1.50 in that hoe this week, dude. I was like, man, I couldn't have. I was at one point this weekend. I was looking because I dropped 145, and I was like, dude, if I had taken Andy's place, because he made it in the playoffs over me by 20 points, whatever,
Yeah.
I would have beat King Cobb this week. I'd be going up against Darius. I would be talking all my jazz right now.
So what you're
It's
saying
not.
is you're going to keep tracking your score every week to see if you would beat Darius and how far you would have made it.
Yeah, I'm gonna laugh when I beat Darius this week, and then I play you when you're in the championship next week, and I would have beat you, and I lost because of 20 points. But
And you're going to be like, I
you
was
know,
30 points away from winning the league. Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not a quick plug here, but look at my roster and how we performed the last couple of weeks. Now that the season doesn't matter, I've actually been. I know it's too late, but if the squad can play like we've been playing lately, next year, everyone on my team's pretty young, so maybe I have something to build forward to. But
You got that league winner, Jarek McKinnon, right there.
yeah, dude, and Evan Ingram, who's the tight end 4 in the year. Albert O, who. So
Albert.
we shall see.
Dotson looked good too, man. Got to get him
Yeah,
back.
he did. Yep. Yeah, Dotson, and I think Jameson Williams will keep getting his reps up, and then we get Calvin Ridley back next year on a pretty dynamic Jags offense, which feels weird to come out of my mouth and say. But yeah, we'll see.
You got Kyle Pitts next year. Like even without drafting a person, and you got some good first round picks too. But even without drafting anybody, your team next year is set up to be pretty good. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think I need some maybe a little bit more running back help. But I love the rest of my roster though. But we'll see. Yeah, I have Tim Joney 1's first round pick, so I think I'll be picking 4. So I should have couple of pretty good options, whether it's the quarterbacks or one of those receivers, running backs. So we'll see.
Yeah, because there's like going to be three probably good quarterback options. Man, I can't wait to talk about like the upcoming draft class a little bit. We'll do that, a couple weeks or so. But I think we'll talk a little bit about what's projected. But we got for sure Jackson Smith and Jigma coming out, wide receiver. We got Bijan Robinson, and then we got like three receivers. So if you're picking in the top five, or sorry, three quarterbacks, if you're picking in the top five, you got a really good spot there. But like in a single quarterback league, obviously the quarterbacks aren't going to go as high. So even some of those guys might fall to the end of the first or not second round. I remember single quarterback leagues, people were still picking Trey Lance and Justin Field pretty highly. But they weren't. They were still middle of the first, I think.
Yeah, especially with the quarterbacks this year with Stroud and Bryce Bryce Young at Alabama, and then those guys will be top 5 picks, and then maybe you see what happens with Will Levis and then Anthony Richardson, and then there's supposed to be I think a tight end at Notre Dame. I think that's supposed to be a first round pick, and then doesn't Georgia have like a absolute tank of a tight end? I think it's Georgia, maybe it's Florida, but one of them has like a 6'8" absolute behemoth of a man who plays tight end. I think might be declaring. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested to dive into more of that process and start projecting some picks out. I don't have any draft capital, so we'll see if maybe you and I make a move and see if I can solidify some running back depth. Or
I'll throw you a third or something, and give me a scrub, so just so you can play the game with us.
Sounds good. I'll get a third so I can be involved. But yeah, so we're excited to talk about that going forward. But yeah, next week would be championship week. We'll have to do one final one talking about who won and declaring the winner. Maybe we'll have the winner on the podcast that week, and potentially that winner will already be on the podcast because of who it is.
It'll be me because I projected to beat everyone even if I'm out of the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about that. I think once the season's over, once we do that final episode there for the season, we'll start doing off-season, episodes. But I think that we're going to do a more infrequent schedule for them. So it's not going to be every week. I don't know if you want to do every other week or every once a month, but we'll keep some content coming out for sure, but it's not going to be as consistent. And those episodes obviously won't have matchups to talk about, won't have MVPs to talk about. So we'll be able to just break down certain topics and discussions and projections for upcoming year. And maybe we'll have some guests on as well. But excited.
Yeah, you can sit here and cry together as we look at the Red Sox. We're going to be like 30-90. So
we'll see. If anybody has a business that they want to be sponsored of the show, let us know. Our advertising rates are very cheap right now. It starts and ends with enough money to buy Isiah a new mic. So hey, listen, we will blast your company's name everywhere, and we will officially rebrand all of our segments having to do with your product. So let us know if you want to be a sponsor, and you want some tax write-offs before the end of the year. Let's make it happen. But that's all I got, man. What do you got for this week for the Patriots?
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about the Patriots. I don't know. I think we're gonna lose the Bengals. Don't have a whole lot to look forward to with the Patriots. I'm actually really interested to see what happens this offseason. We have a crap ton of money. And is Mac the quarterback? Is Bill the coach? Is Patricia still the offensive coordinator? We're going to have, I think it's like $70-80 million to use. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm ready for the offseason when it comes to the Patriots. There's nothing to glean the rest of this year. This team sucks. It's not even like the old Patriots of old were like, just, it's like a talent thing, or, we just had a rough day. They don't play good football. Like, it's not high IQ football. Like, their special teams is crap. They're constantly taking penalties. Like, obviously we saw what happened last game and that atrocity of a play, but I don't know. I'm ready for the Patriots to be over.
In the coaching staff's defense of that play, That was not the design play, and Jacoby Myers wanted to be a hero.
But you're telling me it wasn't designed play to Vermondre to toss him the ball and then throw the 30 yards back to Mac, so he can do what? What exactly was Mac going to do in that situation? You can't throw the ball forward like.
Was he throwing it to Mac? I didn't even know he was
Yeah,
throwing it to.
so he's throwing it to Mac, and then like Chandler Jones was just waiting there, like, oh, here's the ball, and then Mac Jones just sitting there ready to get absolutely destroyed by a 6'6", 260.
Dude got run over like grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Yeah, dude, that was I think Chandler Jones also as a previous Patriot probably really enjoyed that because that was so embarrassing.
Chandler Jones had 2 interceptions and like 5 sacks in that game or something ridiculous. Like he was on fire. His in any leagues where he played DFS, some people said he put up like 45 points for them that week.
Did you see Willie McGinnis had a sack this weekend?
He had actually quite a few sacks.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude, not a hot weekend for Patriots between the Patriots getting whooped and then McGinnis is getting thrown in jail. Then J.C. Jackson got arrested in Massachusetts. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They're ready for the offseason.
Yeah, there's going to be an all ex-Patriots prison league pretty soon here.
Yeah, absolutely. Be the Hernandez pension. What is it? Was it penitentiary? What's the word? Penitentiary.
Yeah.
Penitentiary.
Now I can't think of it. What is it? Penitentiary.
I don't even know. I was trying to be cool and use it, dude. And then I popped it out. I was like, penitentiary? Is that what
And I don't remember the name of this word right now.
We're definitely
right,
clipping this out. This is embarrassing.
Moving forward from this, but yeah, Patriots actually 7-7 on the year, which is crazy. That they're the same record as Tennessee, and the Seahawks. Which everyone looking at the Seahawks is like, oh, they've been playing really well. New England has the same record, but then, yeah, we're actually better than the Green Bay Packers, better than Tampa Bay, better than Arizona, better than Indianapolis, better than Las Vegas. Only 1 game behind Miami.
Dude, if the refs did their job last Sunday, we'd have the same record as Miami, which is insane.
This is true. And we're going up against Miami, not this week, but next weekend. And depending on how this weekend goes, like that could be, like I said, I think last week, that's going to be super impactful, especially since who's Miami playing this week? They're playing Green Bay. So, I mean, Green Bay could sneak out a victory. But regardless, it's going to be a good week. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to that Dynasty podcast. As always, give us a like or a follow, comment on the video down below. Appreciate you sticking with us all season if you've been following along. I'm excited to see where this goes in the future. And on behalf of Isiah and myself, I'll see you guys hopefully after a semifinals victory next week.